Welcome to episode 212 of the Whatnots Review Show, where every week we pick a story and we talk about it. This could be a movie, TV series, comic book, anime, audio drama, all kinds of entertainment. We watch it, read it, listen to it, and then we come back here and we talk about it. My name is Melissa Wilkinson, and I am joined, as always, by Kyle Springer.
Hello, happy early birthday, America.
Mm-hmm.
We're recording this on July 3rd. Tomorrow is the 4th. There will be
That's
fireworks
how numbers go.
Galore. Though, of course, by the time this goes public, July 4th will have already passed. So if you're here in the United States and you were celebrating, we hope you had a great weekend and all that good fun stuff and ate some good food.
Mm-hmm. Hot dog. It's hot dog time.
I hear the kids are now calling hot dogs glizzies or something like that.
Which kids? You heard from who?
In air quotes, the kids are now changing the name of hot dogs to glizzies or something.
This
like
seems
that.
like an inflammatory news headline. I don't think hot dogs already perfect words.
I mean, I'm inclined to agree.
Like, forget
some
cellar door.
Think
The
it's
most
just
beautiful
boring.
phrase in the English language is hot dog.
Anyways, Melissa, what are we here to talk about this week?
We are here to talk about National Treasure 1 and 2. Because earlier this year, we realized we've never encountered Nicolas Cage on this podcast before. We made a point. We're like, we dedicate ourselves to doing this. This is on our to-do list. Sometime this year, a Cage will occur. Mm-hmm. And then I realized I was having pitches over 4th of July weekend. And I didn't even pitch you multiple things. I said, it's National Treasure 1 and 2. If you say no, I'll come back next week with something else. But it's National Treasure.
Yeah,
it is what it is.
Yeah, we were thinking of trying to implement like a Nicolas Cage week, like in annual. Oh, hey, you have the hard Mountain Dew,
right? This is my national treasure. The hard Mountain Dew finally came to Missouri. I was finally able to purchase one. Kyle, you did a taste test of all these flavors on the captain's log that I could not participate in. I couldn't buy them in my state. Now, my schnooks had all the tall boys, all the options.
Oh, good stuff.
So I'm drinking a tall zero sugar Baja Blast. This might take me days to finish. I don't think I can tackle the whole thing, but I'm going to try.
Good stuff. Yeah, we were thinking of implementing a Nicolas Cage week where every year on that week, we would just cover some Nicolas Cage movie or something like that. And we were like, well, what's his birthday? And then we realized his birthday was at like the start of the year. And so that would take our place of like our start of the year. Let's watch a whole franchise since we've been off for 2 weeks thing. And so we didn't really want to do that exactly. So yeah, when you were like, let's watch National Treasure, I was like, okay, I'm in. Let's do it.
And now we're locked into every 4th of July weekend, regardless of we can watch The Family Man, which is a Christmas movie.
Treasure. Every year.
Where every year we will find new clues.
Oh man. National Treasure. So I think this movie, as its name would imply, is in fact a national treasure here in the United States. It is widely loved, widely regarded as just a fun movie.
Yes.
It's not particularly up there with like Oscar-winning performances per se, but it's good. It's fun. Like it's just a blast. I don't think I had seen the sequel.
Oh,
I think that one had somehow escaped me. And watching it here for the podcast this first time, was my first time. So there you go. I have now seen both National Treasure movies. I'm excited.
How does the first one hold up, and how did you find the second one upon your first viewing?
The first one definitely holds up. It's a blast. It's still a lot of fun. The second one I felt like was just as good.
Yes.
It was just more of the same. Like, it's not like they tried to do something different. They didn't really try to go bigger or better or like, it was just more of the same. And I think that's exactly what I wanted from the sequel of this. Because yeah, again, like I said, not really like you're like, oh, best movie of all time, national treasure, man. Like, it's not up there in that pantheon, but it, like, I don't really have many flaws about this that I'm just like, ooh, I didn't like this, or I didn't like that decision. Like, it's just, it's exactly what I expect it to be, and it's exactly what I want it to be. And I mean that in the best way possible. Like, it's just good. And yeah, the second one just being more of the same. It's just like, yes, it is more goodness, more national treasure. I love this.
Yeah, I'd seen the first movie several times. I think I watched it like last year in a movie Discord I'm in. And I hadn't seen the second one in a long time. I knew I saw it when it came out in theaters in 2007, and I think maybe our family like rented it in the years after that. Long time since I saw the second one. I remembered things about it, and then I realized like it takes like an hour for the movie to get to the things I remembered. Like, there's so much more in Book of Secrets than I thought there was. And watching them back to back like this, they're so consistent between those two movies. It's the same creative team, like same directors, same screenwriters, everybody in the cast returns. It does feel like such a graceful, logical next step as to what would happen after the first National Treasure. I think it's very well done.
Yeah. It stinks that there's not more of them, because this movie and its sequel sits in a really interesting place, I feel like, because these movies are kind of the same genre as like Indiana Jones, or like the Tomb Raider movies, or the more recent Uncharted movie based off the video game. I guess the Lara Croft Tomb Raider ones are based off the video games as well. But they, like, within the like action adventure genre, like, this is such a specific small like subgenre that there's not like those are it in the ones that I meant. There's maybe a few ones that you can put in there that are like not as well known, but this is it for like that subgenre.
It's the puzzle adventure, and you've got those Robert Langdon movies. You've got the Da Vinci Code and Angels and Demons and Inferno, but these are more they're more of an adventure. Those are more of like a straightforward mystery thriller drama, and these are like these have got the same sort of puzzle solving thrill, but they're fun for the whole family. It's not just a movie your mom watches. Everybody can enjoy National Treasure. They're funnier. I think they're charming. I wish there were more movies like this. Sometime last year I did throw on Da Vinci Code specifically because I wanted a movie where I watched somebody solve a puzzle. And you're right, there are not many of those.
Yeah. So I just have a blast watching this. These films hold a special place in my heart, in the heart of the nation. Right. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I mean, if you have not seen these, go check them out. Now is the perfect time to do so. But to be honest, you can watch these whenever. They're just a hell of a lot of fun. But I guess for the people who haven't heard of them or don't know what they are, Melissa, can you do a plot synopsis of these?
National Treasure, released in I think 2004, and National Treasure Book of Secrets, released in 2007, directed by John Turteltaub, starring Nicolas Cage as Benjamin Franklin Gates, a treasure hunter, a man who's handed down for generation after generation through the centuries. His family is a legend of this hidden treasure that's like from like Freemasons and like early American Revolutionary founding fathers. And his family has tried for generations to try and find this. They've never succeeded. His dad like completely gave up on it. He hates this legend. He hates this mystery. He doesn't like that his son is involved in it. But Nicolas Cage is determined. And he's cracked it. He's like solved some of the clues. He's like, I think I know where I'm supposed to go next. He's bypassed this roadblock that all of his ancestors have hit. And then Sean Bean, who's on his team, is like, what if I leave you here and I go get the treasure first? And this leads to the infamous line of, I have to steal the Declaration of Independence. Because they find out that's where the next clue is hidden. It's an invisible ink on the back of the Declaration of Independence. So they have to sneak in, steal that. Him and his sidekick Riley get involved with this preservation archivist, professional who works there for the government. She gets dragged along on this, sort of there like, okay, I'm here to protect the document. I don't care about your treasure. I'm here to make sure that this document, this sacred document, one of a kind, is safe and you don't end up ripping it to shreds or something. And there's clues. You have to know important historical facts. It's a big history nerd's dream on the way to find this treasure. And then the second movie is the same, but instead of stealing the Declaration of Independence, he has to kidnap the president.
Yeah, indeed. I cannot emphasize enough how fun these are, how wacky they are. Some of this stuff is just kind of eye-rolling ridiculousness. Invisible ink on the back of the Declaration of Independence. What? What do you mean they never found it until now?
And then they have to heat it up, so him and Diane Kruger have to lean in and sensuously breathe on the Declaration of Independence.
It's so weird, but yeah, it's an interesting one for sure. At one point, there was a third movie in development.
I've heard this.
That I believe is no longer in development. It seems like at the same time there was also a Disney Plus show in development that they are trying to. I don't know if it's a remake, but they're trying to do a National Treasure series focusing on a younger cast. And from what little I know, it seems like that is still in the works, but that has taken precedence instead of a third movie. Which I think would be a great thing for Disney Plus, a National Treasure series. Sign me up.
What I've heard is that National Treasure 3 was like soft greenlit, and then I think the director and Nicolas Cage wanted to step away and like work on like just do a one-off side project, and they made the movie The Sorcerer's Apprentice, which I don't know if anybody but my brother Tim likes. I've not heard hardly anything about The Sorcerer's Apprentice. Right. So like that kind of tanked, and then that lost all momentum for National Treasure 3. But I think a series would be great. I'd love to see them track a puzzle episode by episode, and maybe each episode's a different clue, a different step, a different place you have to go. The last movie was in 2007. This is the perfect timeline for like if you wanted Nicolas Cage and Diane Kruger to have like a teenager, and that's the protagonist of the show.
Yes,
exactly. This is about Riley's kids.
Their kids. Yeah, that would be great.
Now's the time. Great. The timeline lines up, Disney Plus. Do it.
Indeed. Well, yeah. That, I think, is our plots and summary and general thoughts on the movies. So we will take a quick break for housekeeping, and when we come back, we will dive into these movies with spoilers and talk about them a little bit more in depth. So we will be right back. We put a lot of hard work into the shows that we make, and yes, we make multiple different shows here at The Whatnots, and we'd love it if you check them all out. You can find out more information on our website at thewhatnots.com, as well as your favorite podcasting platform of choice. When you type in The Whatnots, all of our shows will pop up right there. Just don't forget to give us a nice rating and review if you like the shows. If you want to support what we do here at The Whatnots, patreon.com/thewhatnots is the best place to do that. You can support us for as little as $1 a month. You can get all kinds of exclusive content at the $3 tier. You can also get a shout out and a thank you on all of our shows at the $5 tier. You can support us on Twitch by subscribing to our channel at twitch.tv/thewhatnots, and we would love to have you all join us for our live streams and talk with us in the chat. And lastly, we have merch. If you'd like to grab yourself a shirt or a sweatshirt or a mug or something else, go to thewhatnots.com/store to pick up some merch today. And we are back. A big shout out to our Patreon supporters. Thank you so much. It means a lot. Thank you. Cool things that we have been up to here at the Whatnots. We just did our annual trivia night on the Captain's Log. It was a blast. We had a lot of fun. Ignacio, you guys might know from Crossplay, our video game podcast, has joined us once again for this. And there were some interesting questions about presidents' dogs and Nintendo and different science things, stuff about the Globetrotters, the Harlem Globetrotters, all sorts of neat stuff.
Facts about everything. If you like National Treasure, I did a whole question and I broke the format. It's not 4 answers. It's like 12 answers for weird names of historic presidential dogs. And then you guys had to guess the fake one. And like, there are some wild true ones.
There really are. But that was a blast. Please go check that out. That'll be up on YouTube as well as podcast services on the Captain's Log. We are still trucking away on our reactions to Miss Marvel on the Reactor Core. Go check all of those out. That show is a lot of fun as well. I think there's 2 left that we get to see here. So for the next 2 weeks, we will still be reacting to Miss Marvel over on the Reactor Core. And then, I mentioned our video game podcast Crossplay. It's still kind of in a dry spell of video games, though we did just get all those announcements and stuff from Summer Game Fest. In the near future here, we're going to have to do another installment, a Patreon exclusive of our video game fantasy draft. We started that at the beginning of the year, and we're going to have to check in on that once again, do some updates and pick some more games and stuff like that, and that'll be a lot of fun. But the last bit of housekeeping that I need to mention is for the Captain's Log. Number 200 of the Captain's Log is coming up, and we have something special planned. Melissa, for the first time since joining the Whatnots, for the first time ever, you and I will meet in person. And we will be recording the Captain's Log in person together. It's going to be a lot of fun. And we might even get to record the review show that week in person. Right,
that's what I was thinking. Like, while we're there, it'll be funny that we're doing like big milestone episode 200 of the Captain's Log, and then just like episode 217 of the review show. This is a bonus. You get this one live.
Exactly. Big you know what they say, big number 217. What a special number. That'll be a lot of fun. That's happening at the start of August, so be on the lookout for that. But I think that is about all the housekeeping I have right now. So let's dive into spoilers. Here we are, National Treasure 1. Let's start with that one. The first thing I have to point out, something that I don't remember from watch. I'm sure I noticed it, but it's been so long since I've watched these movies that I saw it in this, and it was another one. It's one of my favorite moments in the film, but it's so subtle and it's such a hint at like all of the stuff, and it's perfect for this movie. It's at the start, they're explaining some like historical stuff, like this guy, that, blah blah blah, and then it zooms zooms in on someone's eye as it fades away to them building the pyramids, and they haven't built the top yet, and his eye is right at the top.
Oh,
his eye
yeah.
is the all-seeing eye. And it's just like, it's like right at the start of the film. It's just eye-rollingly like, oh my God, did they really just do that? The all-seeing eye in the Illuminati's real? Come on, you guys. But it fits. It's so good. It's so like, fun. It's just
that's the tone of this movie. I feel like this movie is such a successful trailer because like you can't beat the line, "I'm going to steal the Declaration of Independence," and that sets the tone. There's that line. It tells you exactly what you're in for. And I got to give a shout out to the second best line in the trailer, which is when they're explaining this to Abigail and she leans forward and real seriously says, "Did Bigfoot take it?" Such a prime line read. I think Abigail's a real gem. This movie's so much fun. Do you remember the board game Life? Do you know Life?
Yes.
Life the game?
Yes.
Not Life the cereal or Life the life you live.
One thing about me, I do be living. I know
you
life.
are alive. You are alive. We've proven this.
Yeah.
I would play this game and you've got the little plastic pegs and like you've got you and you have your little car and then you get married and you have kids and stuff. And me and my friends would always like name whoever our fictional husband was. And very frequently mine was Riley Poole.
Yes. Riley Poole. Let's you know what? Let's start by talking about him.
Forget Ben. Riley comes first. Riley is so 2004. I think
Absolutely.
He used to go to like we see him at one point wearing like relaxed fit jeans, not boot cuts, but like relaxed jeans and like Converse and some sort of an ambiguous graphic tee that you can't clearly read. And then like another shirt on over that, and then a velvet blazer, which is such the look of the time. And he's so snarky. And I wonder if I was seeing this now for the first time, if I would find him really obnoxious. But he was like the kind of humor you wanted as a 14-year-old at this time. Like he really worked on me. And I've always liked him for that. I love that it's never clearly explained how he got here, who he is, what his background is, why him and Ben work together. They don't seem like they're really friends. They're like they work well together. They're definitely work friends. But like there's the bit in the second movie where they start talking about like, we have to get somebody who knows ancient Native American languages. You don't mean her. You talk to her? And he's like, who's her? What's going on? And Abigail leans over and says, it's his mother. Like, Riley's never heard Ben say word one about his mom. Riley's never asked.
Yeah.
I don't think they're close.
That is kind of a guy thing, though. Like you don't really like, especially in the like early 2000s. Like guys are often taught to like hold your feelings in, don't cry, be tough, man up, you know, right? Like do all that stuff. So having heart-to-heart conversations, right, is just not, it's not typical of something, at least here in America, where like that is the culture. I feel like that has changed somewhat. Yeah, it's still probably the prevailing culture, but there is there is a much greater sense of like, hey, you can have some really good guy friends, like that's okay. Like we just watched Triple R, right?
Yeah,
and we did a review on that, and the bromance in that is amazing. It's so good,
so close, so lovely.
Yeah, and that's not what we get in this.
No,
this is the like, hey, we're like friends, but we're not friends, if you know what I mean. You know? I think Riley's snarky comments work really well because he's a character who feels so out of his depth, and he's not a dummy. Like, they're dealing with very deep, specific American history lore, and that's just stuff he doesn't know. Like, he's not generally incompetent or unintelligent. He's very smart about, like, spy stuff. In the second movie, he finds a way to, like,
hack
He's a
into like the
hacker.
Buckingham Palace security system. Like, Riley, how do you know how to do this? Where did Riley come from? And you don't know how he's clearly working with Ben for, it's a job, it's work. He's fairly good at the work, and there's the allure of treasure, and that's why he's there. And he's just sort of come to befriend Ben. He makes all these comments. I'm like, I don't know if you two actually like each other. I don't know if you were working on, if there wasn't a treasure hunt underway, I don't know if you two would hang out or not. And I kind of like that that's our setup. I love that we've got this little family that's pretty argumentative. Like, nobody really likes Ben that much. And I think that's really funny that, like, Riley's sarcastic about everything. Riley kind of doesn't want to be there. His dad doesn't want him to be there. Abigail's rolling her eyes at him.
Yeah, indeed. So I'm not super familiar with the actor that plays him. I don't really know what else he's been in.
His name is Justin Bartha. I've barely seen him in other things. I think he's like the guy getting married in The Hangover who you don't see because then they like lose him in the bachelor party and then they have to find him. I was looking up this movie on IMDb, and Justin Bartha's IMDb headshot, he's so handsome. I thought it was like Paul Rudd for a second. And I mean that is such a high compliment.
Interesting. So I was mentioning that I don't know him from all that much stuff because I think, if I'm not mistaken, you kind of hear his voice before you like see him in the first one. I could be wrong on that, but man, he sounds almost exactly like Patton Oswalt.
I see that. Yeah.
Is it like that was just an interesting thing for me to like hear his voice and then look up and be like, was Patton Oswalt in this movie? Wait, no, that's someone else. Yeah. But yeah, I love his character because he does seem like he's there to be the dopey one, like he's the comedic relief, kind of sarcastic, like getting tugged along. But yeah, you're right. Like, he's not incompetent at all. He's actually real damn smart. The fact that he can hack into Buckingham Palace and not get caught, right? Wild. But yeah, I think he's a fantastic character. I like that he has this like end of what Marvel movie is it? The second Avengers film, is that right? When like Tony
Age
Stark
of Ultron
is in his car like riding off there. Right, like he has this like Tony Stark moment where he's actually complaining about like, I only got 1% of the treasure,
half of 1%,
right, half of 1% as he gets into his Ferrari that's brand new and all that stuff. And he just like that scene specifically. I know this came out way before all the Marvel stuff, but like, that Marvel scene I'm referring to looks exactly the same. It's so funny.
Forget Tom Cruise. I want to see the alternate universe where Justin Bartha is Tony Stark. Or Ant-Man. He does have Ant-Man vibes, like how Scott Lang is like, he's like a engineering, an electrical engineering degree.
Sure,
he's a criminal because he's really smart and he knows how to break into stuff. I felt like that must have been Riley's backstory. I feel like Riley has certainly stolen something before. I don't know.
Absolutely,
I don't think Riley's new to stealing. I think he's just new to stealing something of this caliber.
Yeah. Good stuff. Let's change characters here. What was the woman's name? I'm terrible with names. I'm always
Abigail
awful
Chase.
with them. Abigail Chase. Let's talk about her a bit. Because like you said, she has that great line of the like, did Bigfoot take it? Right? She's an interesting character to me too, because I feel like she does not like them at first. She thinks these guys are weird, they're wackos, they're conspiracy nuts, but she recognizes the like passion about history, right? Nicolas Cage's character has. So she's intrigued. But then, yeah, her purpose of kind of inserting herself or allowing herself to be kidnapped along, with them and just be swept up and taken on this ride here is to protect the Declaration of Independence.
Yes.
But she does kind of fall into the classic. I guess it's a trope. She's not a damsel in distress, but it is the action adventure movie where the hero gets the girl.
Yeah, it follows that very classic storyline.
Falls into that. What I thought was interesting about the second one was that it starts off with them like their relationship didn't work exactly. Yeah. And they kind of moved on. I liked that progression, but you also kind of see that relationship then just kind of fall back to and the hero gets the girl by the end of that. It's not really in there in that second one, but it's there. Right?
I like what they do with this relationship largely. First off, the one thing about the first movie that I think doesn't age well, that I do not remember from the first times I was watching this movie, but really sticks out at me now, is when Abigail accidentally gets wrapped up in this thing and she's like, "You stole the Declaration of Independence. We have to take it back." And she's yelling at them about this. And Ben and Riley are making these comments like, "God, she just won't shut up, will she?" I'm like, what are you talking about? You are both fully aware of what a preposterous thing it is that you have just done.
How treasonous, right?
Right. You know what she knows. She's not overtly chatty. That's not a character trait she has, I don't think. She's just mad that you
overreacting.
You stole a one-of-a-kind artifact of incredible importance. At least meet her on that level. At least acknowledge that she's a valid reason to be mad. And don't just snipe at her for being chatty and naggy.
Right.
I wonder if that was left over from I wonder if these were different script drafts that got put together. And
Maybe.
That's carryover from some setup we never got. It really does not fit in there. But otherwise, I like her. I like that they embrace the fact that she's from Germany, the actress is, and I think that's a real nice addition to have somebody who wasn't even born in America, but just finds American history so fascinating and wants to protect the history and identifies as an American. I like that perspective is there. I like that she is, again, very smart. This is a movie where everybody is very intelligent. Nobody's bumbling. The only fault anybody has is that they're just not an expert in this one very specific thing that somebody else is an expert in. And the second movie is a really good progression of where the first movie ends, where by the second movie, after they've been together for 3 years, she's tired of Ben's attitude of, if he solved this incredible unsolvable puzzle that none of his ancestors could crack for 200 years, and he's sort of got this self-assurance of I think I'm right about everything. Why wouldn't I be right about everything? Look what I just did. And she's tired of art. She's tired of him assuming things. He moved out of the mansion they bought together with their treasure money. They're fighting over this historical furniture, which is very funny. And he's like, "I'm going to give you these tables." And she's like, "Yes, I want the tables, but I don't like that you assumed that I would want the tables and you didn't actually ask me what I thought." She's fed up with him. And part of the second movie's journey is that you meet his mom. And his mom and dad also broke up 30, 40 years ago. They're so argumentative. And when they go on this big adventure, there's a part where his parents reconnect and kiss each other for the first time in decades. And then there's a moment where Ben and Abby have to split up, and she reaches out and touches his face and looks at him, and they don't get that big kiss. I like that the movie's we just did that. We just did that with another set of characters. We're not going to do it again right away. Absent of that storyline with the parents, you could see this being the part where they kiss again for the first time in a while. But I like that the movie's smart enough to juggle all the different things that it's doing, and it knows,
Yeah.
no, we're going to wait on this moment in contrast and in balance with this other moment we just gave you.
Indeed. That's why I was like, well, that like the hero gets the girl is in there, but it's not really in there exactly.
Yeah.
Like because they don't get back together by the end of this movie.
But she does ask him, how would you feel about moving back in with me? Like, no, he's like, I'll send you those tables. And she's like, come along with the tables. You and the tables can come home.
Yeah, they have a better understanding of one another, stuff like that, which I think puts them in a better place, but it is still not the like, and the hero got the girl. Like, they still have things to work out, right?
Yeah.
So that's
I do like that.
The Gates parents. Let's talk about them. They're good. You mentioned most of it though. The father kind of feels like his family history has been a burden to him. It's haunted him. It ruined his marriage. His kid is now obsessed with it, and it's going to ruin his life. And he just kind of becomes this fearful hermit. Right. And he hasn't seen his wife in multiple decades. And he's kind of a sad character. And then, the second one, I think there is the touching moment of finally getting to meet the mom and just the reunion to leading up to that kiss. Like, I like that. It's not just a focus on Indiana Jones per se, right? But you get to learn the Joneses family, except it's all the Gates. It's not just we're focusing on Ben Gates. He's the hero of all of them because he's the smartest one in his whole family. It's all of his family has been seemingly smart, like you said. Like, everyone in this movie is smart. They're intelligent. They just hit a roadblock, and Ben happens to be the one that solved that first one, right? That got them past that. I like that it is a family affair. And that we get to see all of that, which is why I think if they do a Disney Plus show, I'd love to see kids.
Yes.
Give me the kids.
Like, Ben is such a product of his two parents. And I would love to see what type of kids him and Abby have. Again, I want Riley to have kids. Maybe it's with the one girl who recognized him as the author of that book at the end of the second movie. Yeah. I thought that was funny that he wrote this book that nobody is taking seriously. Well, and he put so much work into it.
Taking the discovery seriously, right. but they only know Ben. Like, he's the one that found it.
Which is kind of odd, because Ben is... I spoke about how I don't think him and Riley are really good friends. They're just work friends. But he treats Riley fairly. Like, when they just find the treasure at the end, I think Ben is a very fair-minded character, and I like that about him a lot. I like that they pick and choose the moments when he has this incredible ego, when he has this arrogance, when he has this stubbornness of course I'm right about this thing. Why wouldn't I be right about this thing? How could I be wrong? I love that when he finds the treasure, he's like, we're giving this back to the cultures it comes from. Like, we're going to split it up among all these museums. You know, there's a sarcophagi in there. They're going to the Museum of Cairo.
Belongs in a museum.
Right. And he wants to find the treasure less for the riches of the thing and more for the knowledge. Knowledge is the real treasure you find along the way. That's his goal in both movies, is this really consistent goal of people deserve to know these things. Cultures deserve to have these long lost artifacts given back to them. And, when they find the artifacts, they're split up among the museums. He's very humble. He's like, he was offered 10%, and he's like, I will take one. They'll split it in half with Riley. Equally, Riley did not do half of the work.
Right.
He did a lot. He didn't do half of the work, but Ben's still like, no, he gets half. We're partners in this 50-50 split. So the fact that then nobody knows who Riley is in the public I don't, and it's left up to you. Did the media only focus on Ben because Ben's story is the most fascinating? Did the media forget to mention Riley, or is this part of Ben's sort of fall into arrogance that there were times when he forgot to mention Riley?
Yeah,
you don't know.
I'm the one that found it. This was my assistant, right? Blah, blah, blah.
Assistant. But what else could you call him? He is a classic sidekick.
He is, yeah, absolutely the sidekick there. He is the third wheel, the third point in the triangle of the all-seeing eye. There.
I've never thought about that symbolism. We've got so many triangles, of course. We've got these three main characters. Yep. You've got one couple of experts and then a guy who does computer stuff.
At least it was not a love triangle, and it was
right.
Like
I like that.
Yeah, I
like that when he meets Abigail, he thinks she's really pretty, and then he doesn't do anything with that. He doesn't feel the need to do anything with that. She just is very pretty, and he notices that. It's factual.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. Ben himself. So we've kind of discussed him through these other characters around him, surrounding him, right? The one thing I want to say about him, though, is that despite these other characters around him giving him context and relationships to kind of be in, I feel like at the end of the day, he's kind of a flat character. There's just not much to him, except for the fact that, yes, finding this treasure kind of gives him a big head, right?
Yeah. I think the second movie does a lot to add that dimension to his character. I think he is fairly flat in the first one, and I like that in the second one they think about where would this guy be mentally 3 years after that? And what problems would that cause for the people in his life?
Yeah, that did help a lot. And this is where I see something like a National Treasure series like working out fantastically, is because they can explore the what is it like to be a member of a family who has this long connection to American history and the weight of all of that, the weight of his father's failure, his grandfather's failure, to then live up to that. Yeah. And then to find the thing that that his entire family was looking for, and how that changed him. And how does that, I would love to see how him and Abigail kind of went on the hey, it's not working out here. I'd like to see that. And it stinks that we didn't get that. But again, these movies know exactly what they are.
Yeah.
They don't waste a second. It's when you look at the description for National Treasure Book of Secrets, it tells you basically right at the start. Yeah. He now has to kidnap the president to do all blah 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 blah. That is the hook. That doesn't happen until the second half of the film, right? And so you but it's not a slow, drawn out kind of thing until oh my God, I just realized what we need to do. We need to kidnap the president. No, it is action packed the entire way. They do this thing, they go there, they think it's that, they find that thing. It's there's so much happening. There's so much going on that you're never sitting there I'm gonna check my phone, I want to do something else.
No, these movies move.
Yeah, and so you don't really need those slower character moments because the things they are doing is so exciting and so interesting, and it is this puzzle, right, that they are solving, this mystery, these clues that they are following up on, and it's fun. The stuff that they have there is fun.
Like I said, I remember that the second movie had his mom, and it had he kidnapped the president, and they went to the Mount Rushmore. But I forgot that the beginning of the movie, they go to Paris and they go to London before they do any of that. It's got this globe-trotting element to it. The second movie's a little bit more of a traditional kind of action spy movie, like kind of leaning into those tropes. And I feel like it works. It works as an escalation of where we've been before, that we've spent all this time on American history. We are going to branch out into the roles that different European countries played in American history. Like the Statue of Liberty is a gift from France. So they have to go to France to see another casting of the Statue of Liberty, a smaller scale version. And then there's the Resolute desks, this pair of desks, and the one's in the Queen's residence at Buckingham Palace, and one's the President's desk. I like how it branches out and widens the scope and shows you the role that other countries played in American history. And it does touch on like trickier parts of American history, like when they go to Mount Vernon for the president's birthday party. They're like, oh, here's a map that George Washington drew of his house. A slave handed this down among her ancestors, among her descendants. They go to Mount Rushmore and they mention that it is built on Native American land. And they add a plot element to it, like, oh, this was built here to cover up a landmark that was going to lead you to the treasure, like it was a smoke screen. Like they don't dive into it. And I feel like diving into it would really change the tone of these movies and change what they wanted these movies to be. But I do like that it doesn't.
I feel like they could still do it, though.
Yeah, they could do a bit more. Yeah, I do like that it doesn't completely gloss over, the disappointing parts of American history. But I did watch these, and what I would want out of a National Treasure 3 is a more diverse cast, like more perspectives on American history, on all the dark parts, but then let's find heroes in those dark parts. Like, to find a way to appropriate
mysteries that got swept over in that stuff, right? Like, our country was absolutely built off the backs of slavery, right? Like, there has to be something in there. We committed genocide against the Native Americans. Right, there has to be something that they can explore in that. I think even just where Canada came in at the top, where Mexico, like all that stuff, just like like finding where like all of Texas used to be in Mexico. Right. So like there has to be something with Mexico that we can do here. There has to be some Canadians, like. There's all sorts of stuff that we can do with that will explore all of that would bring out some more of our history, whether or not that's a part that we're ashamed to say or not. It would help to bring out the diversity in that. I would also like to see a more modern thing. Like
oh yes,
like do one that focuses around the same time period as the JFK assassinations, like in the 60s and stuff like that. Like not one that's like Revolutionary War and all that stuff, but like more modern. Like that stuff would be interesting too.
Yeah, I was thinking this thing too. Like, let's diversify the cast. I kept thinking of Orlando Jones. I pictured like the poster with Nicolas Cage holding the torch, and I thought, I want to see Orlando Jones in that same pose. I want him to solve the mystery. We're in New England so much of the time, except for our field trips over to Paris and to London and then to Mount Rushmore. Like, let's get out of New England. Is there anything in Arizona? Let's go to like different geographical regions. Let's go to different time periods. What's the most recent giant secret mystery that these guys can find to solve? Do something buried just in like 1992 that they can go look up. They have to access secrets on a floppy disk.
All the like FBI G-Men stuff with like all the MK Ultra stuff. Like, oh man, they have so much to explore that they could do that would lead to some fascinating stuff. So they have a treasure trove of things that they can explore and find mysteries in. So
yeah, I always like the mystery designs of these. I like that it's all double entendres has such a sexual connotation to it, but like things that mean everything's symbolic. Like when one of the first clues they come across is something written in iron pen, and Ben figures out, oh, the iron doesn't refer to the pen, it doesn't refer to the ink, it refers to the will and the spirit behind what was written. And that's how he gets to the Declaration of Independence. I like how much wordplay there is in this series. I like that that's what it is. It isn't puzzle solving in terms of, okay, move this block over here, move that block, move that one over there. There's a little bit of that when they have to like open a door, but it's all like, it's very poetic, man. The mysteries that they have to solve.
That would be great. So again, we mentioned that our country is built by slavery, unfortunately. But yeah, it was the slaves. It was African Americans. It was black people that built the White House. What if there was some secret in what they built? And that's why it was burned down that one time, and they built it again to hide something else that was in there. Like that, like stuff like that would be wild. That there is, something hidden in the White House that they don't know of.
We just did a Patreon bonus episode in our Pilots Club series where we watch pilot episodes of various TV shows. We watched the pilot episode of The West Wing, and there's a scene in that where one of these White House staff members, this person who's very, very smart about political science, somebody's out sick and suddenly they're called in to give a tour of the White House, the building, to like a 4th grade class. And there's a real divide between the White House, the institution, and the White House, the physical piece of architecture. Yes. And there's so many people who might know all these government secrets, but they don't know what like a column means. They don't know what like one little twist of a finial means,
or which,
and there is a lot of potential
this
there.
Room is named after, or stuff like that. That could be fascinating. I have to say, if that Patreon exclusive thing is not out by the time this goes public, it will be shortly after that. Like I said, we for crossplay, we need to get our recording for our video game fantasy draft scheduled and stuff like that. And that'll be pasted together, and you'll get a big old fat Patreon exclusive thing there you guys can enjoy. But yeah, there's so much that they can do.
There's so much potential with this series. I think we're in a space where you can, I think it'd be an interesting way to tackle how you cope with the darker parts of your nation's history and keep on living, keep on finding joy in learning more, how you can still be a person who like devotes yourself to learning more and more and more, no matter what it is you actually learn. A show that's about a show or a movie about how like knowledge is always illuminating no matter what it is. Yeah, I like some of the philosophy behind the series. Like I said earlier, I like that Ben's all about the knowledge of what it is he's finding. He's never searching for he has like very little material interest. He has material interest in things that like, I guess he feels he can own. Like he doesn't go into that room full of treasure and say like, this chalice, I must have this chalice, but like legally acquired like antiques, like these tea tables him and Abigail are fighting over, that he feels like he can stake a claim in. But like anything that's classified as treasure, I think he knows is beyond him, outside of him. It truly belongs to the world. It belongs to whatever culture it originated in. And I really like that that's his mindset. In the first movie, when they find that massive haul of treasure, there's a scene where Riley finds this like the ancient Egyptian statue, and he just stares up at it, and he's like, it's some sort of bluish green man. His goatee looks weird. I bet that's significant. And he just hugs the statue. And I looked at it, and I like, this has given me a way to express how I feel about Marvel lore sometimes. Like, I'm such a huge MCU nerd, but I don't know all the comic stuff. So I'll see like a post-credit scene, and I feel just like Riley, like, I know this is significant. I don't know what it signifies, but let me take it into my arms. I love it.
Let
it's
me
here
love
for me.
this.
I'm
Yeah.
here for it. Right?
That's great. That's
and when
great.
he's crying and Abigail's like, wow, Riley, you're really affected by this. And he points across the room and he's like, look, stairs. We have a way out of the treasure room.
We're not going to die down here. Yeah.
Another bit in the first movie I love. I think this is a series that's very good at tiny little details. The first movie's got all these memorable little interactions with people, like the like Library of Congress, like the woman working at the gift shop who sees Ben trying to sneak out with the real Declaration of Independence, and she thinks it's a souvenir poster, and she's like, "You have to pay for that. We don't take. We take credit card. You don't have enough cash? Give me your credit card." There's like the little kid who like makes fun of Riley for having bad handwriting when they're trying to solve that puzzle.
Yeah.
There's the woman who works in the farmer's market who's like, honey, you stay as long as you like. There's the henchmen when they're going down into the treasure room in the first movie and Ben like grabs Abigail and kisses her before they go down the stairs.
Why does that
One
never
of
happen
Sean
to me?
Bean's hint. Right. Who is that man? What's his life? When have there been times in his life where he wanted that to happen to him? Does he have a crush on one of the other henchmen?
It is a weird thing to say because that like that I think almost implies that he's gay because
I don't know. Yeah,
it's not something that happened to Nicolas Cage or his character. That's what Ben Gates did to her. So is he expecting some person to grab him
Why doesn't
and
Sean
kiss
Bean
him?
kiss me?
Right,
I think
exactly.
that's his story. He's a crush on Sean Bean and Sean Bean's beautiful hair.
Exactly. He like that's why I was like does that imply he's gay? Like is that the subtext here? Like I don't know. But
he's just a romantic at heart.
Right? Yeah.
He could be
Same
anybody.
thing.
I want to learn his story.
I wouldn't be swept off my feet.
Right.
Good stuff.
And I like the president in the second movie. The apparently unnamed president. They never name him. He's just the president. President Bruce Greenwood. I like that he understands what Ben is about. That when Ben gets him down in these secret chambers and is like, look, President, I know there's a book of secrets. I know you have it. I need this information. Like, just tell me where to find it. And he's like, I can't tell anybody what you're up to unless you're successful. So you'd better come back with a treasure and like a real reason behind everything you're doing, or you are going to be arrested for treason. And then when he's successful at the end and like there's a way to kind of explain everything away, then he's like, yes, this man took me on a trip through a secret passage that we found in Mount Vernon. And a wall fell and we were not immediately able to get out, but then I got out. The man's in the clear. Man saved my life.
Yeah. Man, there's just all sorts of small details. Like I mentioned that eyeball at the start that appears to be the thing, to these small jokes, to these weird bits. There's so much to love about these films that, it sucks that they've not made more of them, but I think they are in a great spot right now if this Disney Plus series continues. And I think, to be honest, they really need it. As much as I am a huge Marvel fan, a big MCU nerd, a big Star Wars nerd, and I love that we get so much of that. They need something else. They need more stuff that I think it fit. I mean, that's not all that they do on Disney Plus, but it's all that they do that really draws the like big crowds for it, right? Yeah, I think National Treasure could be up there. Like,
if they do it right, this could be a big hit.
Yeah, it holds such a special place in so many people's hearts that I think, absolutely, this could be a killer piece that will make them tons of money. So do it.
And if you put out another movie in theater, if you put out a National Treasure 3 in theaters, I will see it 3 times. This is my pledge to you.
Yeah.
I'm going to make that thing make bank.
There you go. There you go. I'm sure if they do a Disney Plus show, we will be on the Reactor
Yes.
Core, our podcast week to week, like following the mysteries and trying to solve it, looking up history and stuff like that. It'll be
Oh my,
great.
do an ARG. We'll play along.
Yes. Oh my God, that would be amazing.
Right. This is what they should do.
So
they should
cool.
like have secret puzzles hidden around like the next D23 convention.
Secret
and it leads
American
to the announcement.
history hidden on the internet. Yes.
Ah!
Bam. Ah, amazing.
Right. People love puzzles. This is what Gravity Falls proved to us. You had such a big hit with all the mystery of Gravity Falls. Do it again.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I still have to watch the second season of that.
You've
I
never
only
seen
watched
it?
the first one.
Wow.
So, yeah, that was a great show.
Mm-hmm.
Great show indeed. I think that's kind of all I have to say on National Treasure.
Man, now that I've brought up Gravity Falls, now I'm thinking about how they could bring in, like, Riley's got this book of, like, the Templar treasure and other myths that are true and other sort of conspiracy theory things, and we don't dig into it. But I would love if, like, Bigfoot did take something. National Treasure, the series. We're bringing in, like, American folklore. Like, we're bringing in Bigfoot, bringing in a Jersey Devil.
Sure.
We prove that John Henry was a real historical man.
Yep. There's a secret, like the Underground Railroad was not just a thing. Like John Henry helped out with that. What is going on? Right? All sorts of stuff. But yeah, I think that's about it though for our discussion on National Treasure.
Yeah.
I just pulled up our bingo cards.
Hey,
so I think we should try and check in here on bingo.
Say it with me.
Oh man, our cameras aren't even on there now.
Just like a pro.
The card pulled up on screen, but I haven't. I got rid of our cameras on there. I know what happened with that. But you guys can at least see on screen here our bingo cards. If you guys are watching this on the YouTube version, do we have any kind of thing that we can put on this? I do.
What do you have?
One. I have a number as a clue, Easter egg, or pattern.
Yeah.
I have that. Let me see. Highlighter red. I can knock out that one, which gives me another bingo.
Nice. How many are you at now?
I have 1, 2. I have 2 full ones, and then I have a couple that are missing 1.
I've got 4.
I need Begin Human Trials, and I need a Hans Zimmer score, and I got 2 more. And then a few.
Hans Zimmer has scored a wide variety of films. I would love to see the pitches you pull just from 3 of any type of movie Hans Zimmer has scored.
Right.
That could be anything.
Indeed. Do you have anyone?
I don't
here?
think I've got expository art. Not exactly. Like, they're all flashing to, like, real things that exist.
Yeah, the closest thing I would say would either be the pipe or the dollar bill, right? When he is like showing all of the stuff on there. That's the closest, I think.
When I'm talking about expository art, I'm talking about, like, in last week's Miss Marvel, where they pull out all those maps and all those visualizations of the different realms.
Yeah.
Like, I am talking about just like a person there to deliver exposition, and there is like an in-universe right there in front of you, practical art piece that is there to show you what the history is that they are explaining.
There is that map of Mount Vernon that they said.
That's not what I'm talking about. I don't know if anybody's on this trope except for me. Nobody talks about this. I'm talking about like
I know what you mean. Like when we saw like Shang-Chi, right? And they had the like there's statues that explain the history of that stuff, right? Like
or like
that, I know that's what you're going for, but I'm wondering if there's like smaller versions of that would still technically fit.
I want like true to what my view of this thing is. Like in Man of Steel, where he goes on his like ship for the first, he's in the like Fortress of Solitude for the first time, and like all this kinetic sand forms like the figures of his parents as Russell Crowe is telling him the story of his birth. Like I am talking about the artwork that like it seems to exist only when our characters need something explained to them.
Indeed. Oh man, our thing did the weird
I don't got
thing.
it.
I guess that's what I could do for bingo next time. Now that I think about it, I can just pull up my browser instead of the scene that I made on that stuff, because that still has both of our cameras and does all that stuff. So anyways, that is it for bingo for this week. I got one. Oh yeah, good on
me. Way to go.
Another bingo. Okay, let me close that out. Recommendations. Melissa, do you have recommendations? If people liked this, what else should they check out?
Of course, I gotta recommend my dearly beloved Night at the Museum franchise.
That's a good one, yeah.
Not really any puzzles in that one, very minor mysteries, but lots of world history piled in there. You get a really wide swath of things. It's wider, but it's shallower, right? We don't really talk anything about like ancient Roman history. You've just got little Steve Coogan running around in the costume. Like, what do we know about the American Southwest? We don't know about cowboy history. We just have little Owen Wilson and his little Owen Wilson cowboy hat.
Wow.
But those movies, I watched the whole trilogy a couple years ago. They're very fun, packed full of actors. You know, this is the first time I ever saw Emmy and Oscar-winning leading man Rami Malek in anything.
Indeed. Yeah.
National treasure. Great fun.
Great recommendations indeed.
I think those are also on Disney Plus, and I think there's also supposed to be another TV show, maybe a cartoon. I don't know if it's animated or live action, but there's supposed to be a show that's like about Ben Stiller's son taking on his father's legacy of night watchman over the Museum of Natural History.
Interesting.
I think I remember hearing that in like the big Disney Plus day like a year or two ago, when like the big news was the Obi-Wan show. It got completely overshadowed. I have no idea if it still exists. Nobody's giving me the hot Night at the Museum news.
Needs those hot Night at the Museum updates.
Hot nights.
Hot nights.
Hot museums.
Hot museums. Do you have more stuff that you'd like to recommend?
The Robert Langdon movies, they hit the spot if that's really what you're looking for. There was a night where it's like, I need to watch a movie where somebody looks at something and says, that's a symbol for something. That's a clue. Like, I didn't want like a murder mystery. I wanted this very specific type of mystery. Mm-hmm. And I watched those and I'm like, that'll do. That works. If you've got more of these, please tell us. I would watch a movie that feels like an Easter egg breakdown video, but like diegetic to the plot. You want to watch a movie where the protagonist feels like an Eric Voss.
Shout out to New Rockstars.
It's mostly what we talk about. Mountain Dew, Lost, and New Rockstars.
Cool. Good stuff. I want to recommend a couple things. Of course, we've mentioned things like Indiana Jones and Uncharted and Tomb Raider, all that stuff. Go play the video games of Uncharted. Those are fantastic. They're incredible. Let's see. More stuff that I would like to recommend. If you do want more kind of mystery, conspiracy stuff like that, but maybe more adult focused and more of a fictional. I mean, I guess this is fictional too, right? But it's real in my heart. I I would recommend Alan Moore's From Hell. It is
that's good.
comic about Jack the Ripper. And it is, big old conspiracies. There's the Freemasons, all of that stuff. But yeah, that is not a kids comic. Indeed, that one's not going to be fun for the whole family. But that one is a good one
now,
for sure.
Now you've got me thinking about how the first Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes movie is a lot like From Hell. And then I thought about Sherlock, the BBC show. And now I really wish that Ben Gates had a Moriarty figure in his life.
Yes.
He doesn't have any carryover nemesis. Like Sean Bean dispatched. Ed Harris, he drowns underwater. The only place you can drown. I think there's no foe to continue. I think Sean Bean's still alive at the first movie, and I want Sean Bean to come back in National Treasure, the series.
Yeah.
I want him to have studied. He's determined to best Benjamin Franklin Gates in a battle of wits.
Yeah. I only saw that first Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes. I know a lot of people really like those. I would recommend those in here as well.
Yeah.
Funny enough, the reason I didn't like that first Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes was because the plot is oddly similar to Alan Moore's From Hell. And I was just like, okay, interesting.
I watched the second one in like December when it was on HBO Max. It was pretty fun.
There you go.
Moriarty's in there and he's Jared Harris.
Yeah.
If you need more Jared Harris in your life, you can go there.
Indeed. Also, the Hercule Poirot mysteries are good, fun ones. Death on the Nile is the most recent one. I've not seen that one yet, but here on the review show, we covered Murder on the Orient Express. Good fun mysteries.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Trying to think if there's another like anime or manga or something that I can.
This is your opportunity to bring up Detective Conan again.
Detective Conan's a good one. That's more like mystery of the week style stuff, though. I don't know. Lots of good fun stuff out there. Maybe even some good heist movies like the Ocean's movies would be good fun. But yeah, I think that's about it for recommendations. So with that,
any favorite Cages you want to shout out? He's what brought us here today. Shout out favorite Cage movie.
Oh, I don't know if I've ever really given this thought. I'm not prepared to answer that one right now at all.
Right.
National Treasure. That's my favorite Nicolas Cage.
That is the one that looms the largest in my mind. Moonstruck's a good time. He has a fake hand in Moonstruck. He goes real wild.
Haven't seen that one. Haven't seen Mandy or Color Out of Space or whatever his like
I've
weird
seen
ones
both
are.
of those. They are they're wild times. I don't even know. My movie Discord, we watched both of those. We did a Cage series. We watched Color Out of Space, and my friend is streaming it off of Shudder, the horror streaming platform.
Yeah.
And we're all trying to like untangle and like cope with our thoughts about this movie. And we're sitting there and the stream's still on him on the Shudder page, and he goes to leave a comment because you can like rate and review like right there. And like write a review on Shudder, not just like give it some stars like you would on Netflix or something.
Yeah.
And he just writes the review. It certainly was a Color Out of Space. We're like, that's all we can say about it. Was it good? Was it bad? It was a Color Out of Space. But Mandy's going to come up on the show. Good. I want us to talk about Mandy at some point.
Good to know. Okay. Pitches for this next week. Melissa, here on the show this year, one of my goals has been to bring more kaiju on the show. So we are dipping back into the well of kaiju.
I thought this was going to be the $1 billion code week.
Not yet. It's coming soon, but not yet.
Okay.
A month and a half ago, 2 months ago, ish, 3 months ago now, we watched the original Godzilla movie.
It was March.
Here. So yeah, if it was like mid to early March, I would have still been in Virginia.
We recorded on March 19th. I remember this because I picked Godzilla because you told me it came out in 1954. And I'm like, that's when my dad was born. It's my dad's birthday this week. In honor of my dad and his birthday buddy Godzilla. Let's watch the first Godzilla movies. That's why I remember.
So yeah, we've covered the original Godzilla here on the review show. We've also covered some of the Netflix CGI animated Godzilla movies. We did the first two. I don't think that third one was out yet. So we've done some kaiju stuff, but not much, especially in 212. Yes, Pacific Rim. Thank you for that one. I almost forgot. But I'd like to just get a little bit more in there so we can just be like, man, we have a good handful of kaiju stuff that we've watched here.
Understandable.
So pitch number 1 is a movie called Destroy All Monsters. This is from 1968. It is a Japanese kaiju film directed by Eiichiro Honda. And this is technically the 9th film in the Godzilla franchise, continuing on from that first one we watched. A lot of people describe this as the Avengers of monster movies. In the film, humans have achieved world peace by the year 1999, and the various giant monsters are confined to an area known as Monster Island. The monsters are freed from the area by mind-controlling aliens known as the Killax, who send them to attack major cities. When the monsters are freed from the mind control influence, the aliens send King Ghidorah to challenge the monsters. And this is one that is very fondly looked back on as, like I said, it's kind of just like the Avengers. Like you have Godzilla, you have Mothra, you have Rodan, you have King Ghidorah, you have Manila, all sorts of stuff. I think it says there's 11 monsters in this one. Yeah, 11.
Where could we find more?
So I was looking at what to pitch. I was like, okay, well, when's the first time that Godzilla fought another monster? And there was some in there that I was just like, I don't know if I want to pitch that one. This one spoke to me as the Avengers of that. Pitch number 2. So we've seen monster movies. We have not done monster comics yet, so I wanted to pitch some comics. This one, however, does in fact go back to Godzilla, but he seems to be fighting all kinds of kaiju in this one. This is Godzilla, Rulers of Earth, and this is on Comixology Unlimited, and they have a complete edition which covers the first 12 issues of the series, which, if I'm not mistaken, is the entire thing. I could be wrong on that, but they have the complete edition, Godzilla, Complete Rulers of Earth, Volume 1, and covers the first 12, like I just said. It says, giant monsters are appearing across the globe and leaving complete destruction in their wake. But who or what might be behind their attacks? It's up to Commander Stephen Woods and his counter kaiju reaction forces to hold the monsters at bay, while young Lucy Casperell and her scientific research group, the Kaiju Watchers, attempt to find the truth behind the invasions. So, kaiju on the page could be interesting in comic book format. And pitch number 3, everyone knows Godzilla. We've done a lot of Godzilla. I even just pitched a lot of Godzilla. Who are some other giant monsters out there. Melissa, pitch number 3 is Gamera, the giant monster. This is from 1965. It's another Japanese kaiju film directed by Noriaki Yuasa. This one is the first film in another long-running kaiju franchise in Japan. It was kind of the Pepsi to Godzilla's Coca-Cola. When Godzilla became popular and they started making those films, these ones popped up shortly after. Gamera, the giant monster, is one of the first of those and one of the most well-known of the giant monsters that also popped up around that time. I know more recently, I think it's like mid-90s or early 2000s, there's a trilogy of Gamera movies that are more recent that I think kind of redefined the character and did all that stuff that I think people like. But I want to go back to the original and see what it was all about. Gamera, the giant monster.
I Googled it, and I love that there's a comma in this title. It's Gamera, comma, the giant monster.
Yes, it's
Gamera,
not
you know,
like
the giant monster.
or
right.
However you do those things. Right, it's just Gamera, comma, the giant monster.
Comma.
So, yeah, those are my 3 pitches. Pitch number 1, destroy all monsters. Pitch number 2, Godzilla, rulers of Earth. And pitch number 3, Gamera, the giant monster.
Hey, I'm going to have to go for the one that gives us the most bang for our buck. We're going to watch Destroy All Monsters because, yes, we do know Godzilla. We know Godzilla well. I would like to get to know Gamera, comma, the giant monster. But I don't know, like I know Mothra's a moth. I couldn't tell you what King Ghidorah is. Like, Rodan, is that one a turtle? Like, I know these names, and I'm sure if you showed me pictures.
One.
What's a Rodan? See, this is why I need to watch this one. I know these names, and I'm sure if you showed me pictures and said, is this a real giant monster? I could tell you yes, but I don't know who's who. I don't know what all the kinds are.
Rodan is an
Rodan's the
irradiated
dragon
species
one.
of Pteranodon, or however you say that. Yeah.
Right. Right.
So there you
go.
Okay. Destroy all monsters is what we will do for this next week then. That sounds like a lot of fun. Yeah. This one seemed to be highly recommended in all of the what are the best monster movies out there? This one always came up as a fan favorite. So there you go. That's what we will do for this next week. Destroy all monsters. If I'm not mistaken, it is available for free on YouTube, I think, as well as Tubi TV. It was up on a number of spots. So I think you should be able to find it pretty easily. But yeah, that's what we'll be up to this next week. Melissa, where can the people find you on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Wilkywit. That's WILKYWIT. And listen to my other podcast, Saturday Morning Obscurities, show where me and my brother Jams talk about weird old kid shows you feel like only you remember.
There you go. And you guys can find me at Yo Kyle Springer on Twitter. And if you guys would like to stay up to date with all of the stuff that we do here at The Whatnots, of course, we are at The Whatnots on Twitter. So please go like, share, and subscribe. That would help us out a ton. Go spread the word. Tell a friend, tell a foe. Don't keep it a secret. But that would help us out a ton. But yeah, that has been number 212 of the Whatnots review show. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.